Hello and welcome back to your trusted local podcast. I am Becky Phelps, joined by Emily Stroud today.
Hello.
We are going to get into a deep dive of, as you might be able to guess, charter schools. This is an I-9 that I've been working on for a couple of months now. Emily, first of all, what do you know about charter schools?
Exactly zero.
Okay.
I have no idea what a charter school is.
That's the case for a lot of folks. Now, have you heard of them before?
I've heard it maybe pinged around the newsroom a little bit, but I've never done a story on it. I've never really looked into it, so I am coming in completely blind here.
Okay, so charter schools is something that a lot of people don't know much about. In Iowa, they are relatively new. For a long time, there were maybe just two of them across the entire state.
Only two?
Only two. And so they are not super well known of here in Iowa. They hit my radar first in the spring when a new charter school announced they would be opening up in Cedar Rapids.
Okay.
So I went out there, talked to them, got an idea of what exactly was going on, and we decided, why not, even look further into this, really figure out, what a charter school is and the impact it's having, as frankly, they are exploding across the state. They are really growing in number. So we made this helpful little chart that we want to show you.
We love a good chart.
This is a comparison chart for charter schools versus public schools. And that in and of itself is confusing, and I'll tell you why. Charter schools are public schools.
Okay, so they're not private.
They are not private schools. So it is not a public school in the way you are probably familiar with a public school district. Cedar Rapids Community School District, public schools. Linn-Mar Community Schools. Marion is a public school district. These are different. First of all, they are operated not by a school district, but by a private charter organization.
But still public.
They are still public, and what that means is that they have a lot of similarities. You can see both of them do not have a tuition.
Okay.
Unlike, a private school, you have to pay to get in. There is no tuition for a charter school. Anyone can attend. Anyone can attend. They do not turn away people for specific reasons.
Right.
They are funded by the state. So charter schools, because they are public schools, get public dollars.
Okay.
They get the same as a public school district that you know of. They get per pupil funding.
Right.
So here in Iowa, that's about $8,000 a student. So for every student they have, they get $8,000 from the state of Iowa. However, there are some pretty key differences. Public schools are 100% funded by public dollars over a variety of ways, including that per pupil funding. Charter schools also often get funding from private donors.
Okay.
So they get private dollars as well.
Right, so they are from the state and also from private donors.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Charter schools also have a little bit more wiggle room with education. So public school districts must follow very specific state-regulated curriculum.
Right.
Tells them what to teach and how to teach it, and they are held to a very rigorous standard.
Right.
Charter schools get some freedom here.
Okay.
So they are awarded a charter license from the Iowa Board of Education.
Okay.
And that's good for 5 years.
5 years.
The 5 years that they are operational, they get some pretty free reign to teach. They have to teach certain things. They are still held to certain standards, but they get a lot of freedom in how they teach it.
Okay.
We'll get back to that. That's a pretty big draw for some teachers that I talked to.
Right.
So we'll get back to that freedom. Now, also, we mentioned that anyone can attend a charter school, but charter schools can put a cap on their number of students they're serving.
Which can be an appeal for some people.
It can, because they can, make sure they have smaller class sizes.
Right.
They don't have to take on more students than they want to.
Okay.
So sometimes a charter school will go to a lottery system. If more students apply than the number of students they want to serve. Public school districts do not have that option.
Everybody gets in.
In a certain geographic location, everybody gets in.
Right. Now, are these charter schools also bound to geographical locations?
No, not in the same way.
Okay.
No. So if you can get your student to that school,
You're in.
you're in.
If they have the space.
If they have the space. Exactly. So they have a lot of different kind of freedom. So this is just an easy way to tell some of the basic differences between a charter school which is a public school, and the public school districts.
Now, and we talked about how this is not private school. Do people often get those confused?
A little bit, yes, because charter schools are so new. So yeah, a little bit. A lot of people think that charter schools, can turn people away, or they, can do certain things that private schools can do. Especially now with private schools in Iowa getting that some of those state dollars
with
from
the vouchers.
The voucher system. That can get a little bit confusing too, because now private schools are also getting some public dollars.
Right.
So there is a little bit of confusion over that. But charter schools are public schools.
Dead end.
Dead end. Now they do not also have to offer transportation. They do not always have the same extracurriculars. It varies drastically, the charter school experience, based on the specific school. So I went to a charter school that is brand new in Iowa this year. It's Cedar Rapids Prep, and they are currently operating out of the old Transamerica building off of 42nd Street. We covered that building for years after Transamerica went out of business.
Right.
That property sat vacant for a very long time.
So it's finally being used again.
It is finally being used again, and that was a controversial spot. I covered quite a few stories, neighbors who were really worried about what was going to go in there. It's been a lot of back and forth figuring out what they are going to put in there. And so now 2 floors of that building are being taken up by Cedar Rapids Prep. There are some other things in that building as well, but 2 floors entirely 6th through 8th graders wearing spiffy school uniforms.
Oh, they do. So they wear uniforms.
At Cedar Rapids Prep, they wear uniforms.
But that's not at every school.
It's not like written into the charter laws.
Okay.
No.
So there's some nuances between schools.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So Cedar Rapids Prep, they do wear uniforms. They are allowed to wear whatever shoes they want, I believe.
Okay.
I heard some kids very excited showing off their unique shoes.
The kids are very hype on their shoes.
The kids are into shoes these days.
I just want something that's comfy.
Yes, absolutely. So Cedar Rapids Prep is kind of how we got a look into the charter school and what it looks like.
Okay.
I spoke to probably 8 or 9 students.
Wow.
Talking to them about what they liked about the charter schools. I talked to a teacher who came from the College Community School District.
Oh, so she moved.
She transferred, yes. Yeah.
All right.
She took that spot. This was funny. She saw a billboard for CR Prep.
Okay.
She was driving down the road.
Casual.
And she was like, well, what is that? Let's take a look and see what's coming to the neighborhood. And she said she just fell in love with their vision.
Wow.
Their mission statement, which has a lot to do with that freedom, that creativity, the idea that teachers can kind of go outside of the box and do what they think they need to do to educate the students and get really creative with those students. She said she was so excited about that opportunity.
Okay.
And also getting a smaller class size, getting to work with students one-on-one.
Right. So they have these creative liberties. They don't have to do step-by-step what the state says, but they still have guidelines as to what they have to teach.
Absolutely. So they have that 5-year license. If, at the end of that 5 years, they go back to the Board of Education to get it renewed, if the board says, you are not doing a good enough job educating your students, like whatever you've decided to do, whatever your creative freedom is, that's not doing the job. They're not testing well. They're not doing well. It's not good. The charter school loses their license.
They get axed.
And it shuts down.
Oof. It's a lot of responsibility for 5 years.
It is a lot of responsibility for 5 years. Well, yeah, and you do get 5 years to build it up. You get 5 years to settle into your stride. But the rate of charter schools that make it past 10 years is actually not great. We'll get back to that as well.
Okay. So if they do the inspection at 5 years and they don't pass, they don't get to continue. If they do pass, it's every 5 years again?
5 years.
Okay.
Yes.
So every 5 years, no matter how long they've been in existence, you're going to get checked on.
Yes.
All right.
So they are under an eye. They are not completely out on their own. So as I mentioned, I went to CR Prep and talked to some students, some teachers, and the principal there, the founding principal, Justin Blitz, who spoke to me about what exactly their mission is, what their goal is. So we'll hear it from him.
I mean, I think every family and every student is looking for something different in their education, and we're not pretending to be the end-all be-all for every single student, right? We're very clear with what our model is. We want to provide a learning space that allows students to own and drive their learning. We really want to emphasize a small school feel where, connection and belonging is pivotal in what we do, and really have high academic expectations. We're providing a college prep experience, and so we want to provide all the academic components that come with that. And so I think if that's something that families are looking for, then we would love to have that conversation with them. But we recognize that this isn't the right fit for everybody, but we're thankful that it is an option for families in our community who are looking for something like that.
So 2 things kind of stood out to me there.
Yeah.
It seems like a tailored experience.
Very much so.
Okay.
Yes.
So that was one of the things. The other thing was, you said 6th through 8th grade is what's happening right now.
Yes.
He was talking about college
Yes.
classes. That's so interesting to me.
It is. So in the future, every year CR Prep is going to be adding a grade.
Okay.
So next year, they will be 6th through 9th graders and go on and so forth until they are a 6th through 12 educational experience. I talked to a lot of 8th graders who were pretty psyched about that point of wanting to get an early start on their college prep, like knowing that maybe even if it's freshman next year, that they were going to be, in their opinions, ahead of the game.
Right.
They were talking about can't wait for Algebra 1 and can't wait for all of these like other exciting things.
I mean, gosh, when I was in high school, I took college classes like junior, senior year.
Yeah.
When we were closer to being in college, I can't imagine taking a college level class at 8th grade.
So yeah, in that way, it is a very tailored experience where these kids can get a jump, a leg up maybe in some of their education. And the kids that I talked to, that's a lot of them, that's what brought them there.
Okay.
That's what they wanted. Now, it's not just academics though.
Okay. What else?
Basketball?
Basketball.
Some of these kids were so excited for better sports opportunities. We're so excited. Football season starts soon. Basketball season starts soon. And again, this is middle school, so we won't get a clear test of how good the basketball team is for a minute. But they are so excited to go to CR Prep because of some of the extracurriculars, which again, not every charter school offers.
Right. So not only can they tailor their experience in education, but they can tailor their experience when it comes to extracurriculars. And that could also include maybe, I'm thinking band and theater, things like that as well.
Yes, absolutely. So they are, this year, Principal Blitz told me that they are having some college professors teach band and orchestra.
Oh, that's interesting.
So these kids are getting a pretty high level
Top tier
experience.
Yeah.
Starting in 6th grade.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
So definitely a lot of, reasons for some people to want to go here. Is that tailored experience is really why people want to go to these charter schools?
That was where all the excitement was that I heard, yeah.
Okay.
They were very, very excited to kind of get a little bit more control over their education. Have a, choice is a word that's thrown around a lot in the education conversation.
Absolutely.
So choice, that was really a big part.
Okay. Now you mentioned these are kind of popping up. They're a little bit newer. Is there a reason why we're just now seeing kind of a pop-up of these schools?
Yes, let's rewind. Let's go back to 2021. Before 2021, there were 2 charter schools across the state.
Right, you mentioned that.
They were tied to school districts.
Okay, and that's not the case anymore.
No. So what happened in 2021, there used to be a law that any charter school in Iowa had to be tied to a school district to exist. In 2021, Governor Kim Reynolds decided, they passed this new law that said private organizations can open up charter schools. You no longer have to be tied to a school district. You can come in and have those private dollars and go nuts, start popping up charter schools. So we had 2 for a very long time. And now 4 years later after that law, there are 10 charter schools operating in the state. So they have across the state. There are several in Des Moines. There's, I think, 3 now in Cedar Rapids. I think there's one in Dubuque. Maybe it's Davenport, don't quote me on that. But they are all over the place. And they are really popping up. There are 10 now in existence. 6 more are scheduled to open next year.
Okay, so they're really catching on fire here.
Yeah, so not only are the ones that we have now going to expand next year, new ones are going to be opening. So they are really popping up like crazy.
Okay. You just mentioned the expansion.
Yes.
Is CR Prep going to expand?
Yeah, yes. Not only in grade-wise from 6th to 9th,
right,
but they are going to be expanding to a 19-acre campus.
Okay.
And I can actually give you kind of a sneak peek to some of that experience.
Oh, wow.
Check out the mock-ups for Cedar Rapids Prep, what they are planning to offer.
That's not what my school looked like growing up.
No, it is. It's pretty nice. So this is the plan for Cedar Rapids Prep. They want to have, really nice athletics system. By the way, that's their mascot, the bison.
The bison.
In the back there.
Love it.
Which got mixed reviews from the kids.
Oh, okay.
Some really liked the bison. Some were not quite sure about it yet. They were
I think it's
warming
cool.
up to the bison.
Yeah, give them some time.
Lounge area. This is actually what the Transamerica site looks like right now.
Okay. Is this like a lunchroom area?
It's like a lunchroom area.
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
nice.
And they want to have very up-to-date academics, STEM offerings for all their students.
I really love all the natural light that's coming in.
Yeah, so those are the mock-ups that they showed us in the spring, for all of their future plans. They want to put those into place, some of them in place already at the Transamerica site. But that's kind of a look forward for CR Prep, who is very adamantly planning to keep growing. They have a long-term vision in mind.
Okay. So CR Prep's expanding. The charter school itself is expanding in Iowa. It seems like it's really taken off.
It really is. Parents seem to really be embracing it. CR Prep had zero problems getting the number of students they were hoping to get. They have 260 students enrolled
Okay.
in CR Prep 6th through 8th grade. Again, 260 students and 18 teachers, which
Okay.
equates out to a pretty nice class size, like teachers not taking on too many
Right.
students. And they, of course, have other support staff. Let's talk about where the students are coming from, though.
Right.
Because this is one of the more complicated conversations around charter schools.
Okay. Because you mentioned they don't, like, in a traditional school district, you are within a boundary and you go to that school if you're in that boundary. And that's not the case for these charter schools. You can come in from wherever.
That's true, but the numbers will show a lot of the kids are coming from right there in that neighborhood.
Okay.
So 80% of the students that are currently attending Cedar Rapids Prep are coming from the Cedar Rapids Community School District.
Okay.
That is over 200 of the students, and we talked about that per pupil funding earlier. That equates out to more than $1.6 million in per pupil funding.
Taken from the Cedar Rapids Community School District.
Directly.
To go into this new charter school.
Yes. Now, there are some other school districts that are like 3% of CR Prep students, I think, come from College Community, 4% from Linmar, like a small number from other districts.
Right.
9% came from private schools.
That's really interesting.
That was the second highest number, was that 9% of the students at CR Prep came from private schools. So that idea behind choice and control over education, students that are attending a private school but maybe couldn't afford it,
Right.
And the charter school is a free option for those parents. So it is very much attracting some folks in that
Right.
vein of thinking.
Almost feels like a private school with that choice option.
Maybe
but
so, yeah.
more, like you said, affordable and easier for some parents to kind of take on.
So let's go back to that funding part.
Yeah. I think that might be controversial, maybe?
It is a concern
Okay.
for a lot of folks, especially those in the education sector, who are saying, choice is great, but we need to protect traditional public school districts because that's the majority of where the kids are.
Right.
And so those districts need funding. They need to have support. So I sat down with State Senator Molly Donahue.
Right.
Who, besides being a state senator, and talked at length about the experience back in 2021 when those laws were getting passed and the concerns around that. She's also been an educator for more than 3 decades, and she works in the Cedar Rapids Community School District.
Right.
So I spoke with her, talking about what exactly the direct impact when you lose those funds. What does it mean for school districts?
Well, every time you lose a student, it does change, because in the public schools, because of the underfunding, we have grown our class sizes, right? I mean, you have to make it up somewhere. And when you can't hire more educators to make smaller class sizes, and you still want to provide those opportunities, all the opportunities that you can, you end up making bigger class sizes so that you can continue with the programming. So every time a student leaves one school district to go to another, that money follows. And so that hurts, and that provides, it provides the funding to that other school, but it removes it from the one that they came from. And by doing so, you are pulling away from all the other kids in that classroom, or all the other kids in that school, or all the other kids in that district. So every child who leaves, that's a concern across the country. I mean, there have been charter schools all over the country for years, and you can look at those and see how they've closed and maybe taken some money and left, and then the schools after the count date, if you know about the count date. So in the public schools, I think it's mid-October, you have to count every head that's showing up to school, right? That's how you figure out how much money they're going to receive the next year, but that's how you count. And so if a child leaves, then that funding goes with them, but if that school shuts down, it doesn't return back to the school that they must go to. So then they are now short money and they have another child, right? Or more children, however many went there. So there's a lot of concerns about how that happens, and how that affects the 90+% of the kids who go to public school. We want to make sure that those public schools have everything that they need, since that's where the majority of the kids are.
So valid concerns.
Absolutely. There's worries about, the long-term impacts especially, but also the short-term ones of losing some of that funding. So we talked a little bit before, every 5 years that charter gets looked at. Mm-hmm. The Washington Post did some research in 2020, and they found that by the 10th year of a charter school's existence, 40% of them closed.
Wow.
40% of charter schools did not make it to 10 years.
Doesn't seem like a great statistic there.
So, yeah, and that is a little bit of it's 5 years old statistic, so it would be interesting to see some newer research on that. Mm-hmm. But 40%, is a lot of schools, and like Senator Donahue was concerned about, they open, they take that funding away, and then for a little bit, even if that school closes and that kid goes back, where does that money go? Mm-hmm. So some concerns about wanting to make sure that all of the public schools are supported, the public school districts are continuing to get the funding and support that they need, because most of the kids are still there.
Yeah, definitely a lot of concerns around there. I can see the pros and the cons list from both sides.
Yeah, so as charter schools are continuing to grow, we're going to have 16 in Iowa by next year. So it's going to continue to be a conversation about, what exactly, who these charter schools are best for. And we will continue, we'll see, where the kids are going, where the kids are coming from.
Right.
And how the public school districts are being impacted by this.
Yeah, and I'm sure we will, be following up on them from time to time. And when that 5-year mark hits, just to see, where are you guys at? What's happening next? Are you going to be able to continue to operate?
Absolutely.
It's very interesting stuff.
It is. And I think what we're going to start, I think a lot of people are going to start understanding charter schools a little bit better. Mm-hmm. It's going to be more of a more household,
name.
Title? Name?
No, I don't.
People are going to, better understand what exactly a charter school is. And it's, as, private schools and charter schools are getting more of this public funding, I think it's going to be brought up a little bit more.
Yeah.
But we have, a couple different versions of this story up on our website. So if you'd like to hear more from those students or the teachers that I interviewed who are going to see our prep about, why they decided to choose a charter school, you can hear that on our website, kcrg.com. Also, if you want another look at that comparison chart to just get a better idea, sit with that, figure out what the differences are, that will also be on our website.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Emily, for going through this. It's these investigations are always so in-depth that we love to use this kind of format to get into everything that we learned. I mean,
deep dive.
I know your investigation, you did like 5 or 6 interviews.
Yeah.
This was, 10 maybe with all the
Right.
kids.
And
so we want to make sure we get all of that information out to you guys in a couple different varieties.
Yeah, because not all the times we can do that in a 2 to 3 minute segment on our newscast. So it's a fun way to kind of really dive in deep and use all the information that we're able to gather.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Emily, and thank you for joining us for this edition of your Trusted Local Podcast.